here in Michigan, especially with his trail named Wolverine. As you know, he's a Triple Crown hiker, long distance hiker. I understand he's going to actually be showing us a ton of gear and going through the gear of someone who's going to be hiking the AT this summer. So we'll be interested to see what he says about what she's got going on. So please welcome Chris Hillier.
Thank you for that nice introduction. I appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for coming out on a rainy Tuesday night. I appreciate everyone being here. Thanks. Thanks for people watching online and watching the video later. I appreciate it. So tonight, I'm not just going to show slides of all the hikes I've been through. I've done that in the past. You guys have, many of you have seen that presentation. So not just the hikes I've been through, more specifically the gear, right down to the nitty-gritty and the planning that I do in preparing for a long-distance hike. I'll spend, I'll try not to keep this too late, but maybe 20 or 25 minutes on the gear, or actually just like 2 or 3 minutes going quickly through all my hikes, then more like 20 minutes or so on my gear, 20 minutes or so on planning, and then hopefully we'll have time for questions at the end. If people want to come up and handle the gear and ask questions then, they are welcome to. Real quick, I'm probably going to use a lot of acronyms and initials tonight. If I say AT, I mean Appalachian Trail. Don't worry if you don't get it all at first. It should shake out in content. Or jot down a little note, and at the end, if you had questions about things like that, I'll be glad to answer. So let me start off by showing these three guys. These are three of long-distance hiking's elite. The guy on my far right, your far left, over here, Scott Williamson. He's hiked the Pacific Crest Trail more times than anyone I know. He used to hold the speed record for it. He was the first one to yo-yo the PCT, that is to go from Mexico, California, Oregon, Washington, all the way up to Canada, turn America, and he has hiked all over the world. He created the Great Western Loop. He's sponsored by National Geographic. He's done crazy hikes up in Alaska. Really impressive guy. These days he runs a guide service. And if you want to hike with him, especially on one of his high Sierra hikes, I think he charges upwards of $3,400 just to hike with him. That's not gear and flights and stuff. That's to get his knowledge. And the guy on the far end is Flying Brian Robinson. Amazing Triple Crowner, former speed record holder, is one of a handful of people in the world to finish the Barkley marathons. Just a really impressive hiker. All three of these guys, they met by chance. 2 of them were together in the High Sierra, and they ran into the third one and posed for this picture. So what do I have in common with these guys? Not much, except that we all want to be her. Maybe not be her, but hike like her. That's Heather Anderson. She's the best at what I like to do the most. That's not hyperbole. She is the best. She's been here before. She had the whole basement packed with people. So a couple reasons I bring her up. Number one, if you want to learn from the best, listen to her, not me. She's way better at it than I am. And just, I could go on for the whole talk about her accomplishments, but simultaneous fastest known time for the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and Arizona Trail all at once. First triple crowner, or first female triple crowner. First female triple crown in 1 calendar year. That is all 3 big trails in 1 calendar year. She's done it all. We all want to hike like her, but no one can hike like her. If you've met her when she's been here before, she's not big. She's slight in stature. She's not a very big person. She's not super physically strong. But her one weapon is persistence. She does not stop. That's how she does all these amazing hikes. She just won't quit hiking. And really, to a lesser degree, that's my only weapon too. I'm not ultralight, as you'll see by my gear up here. I'm not physically very strong. I'm not very fast, but I try to hang in there. So in thinking about a long distance hike and thinking about setting a stated goal of I'm going to try and start on this date and through hike this entire trail, keep in mind one of your best weapons, perhaps if you're me, your only weapon, is to be persistent. Real quick, why hike? Just to get away from screens for a while, get away from your cell phone and Netflix and your computer for a little bit, get outdoors. I'm chasing that feeling of standing at the top, that feeling of accomplishment, of joy through deprivation. I want that over and over, and that's why I think I keep going back out there. I'll show this slide and I'll go through these hikes lightning fast. Again, not to talk about each one of these hikes, but to try to convince you that I know what I'm talking about. So I'll run through these real quick, and then the majority of the talk will be the actual gear and planning. But at the end, I'll put the slide back up, and if you have questions about any of these hikes, or the initials, or any of that stuff, of course I'd be glad to go over it. 2011, my first big through hike was the Appalachian Trail. Look at this rookie, look at this pudgy rookie, thinks he's gonna through hike the whole trail, huh? Good luck, fella. Somehow it turned out okay, and I made it to Katahdin. That's the Appalachian Trail from northwestern Georgia up to Maine. It's 2,200 miles, and that was the first time I stood at the top of Katahdin, Muskota. It's like 230 miles, took me about 2 weeks, and it was cold. It was winter hiking, and it was difficult, but it helped me tighten up my winter hiking game. You know, I got better at it the more I did it. 2013, I hiked what is now called the Iron Bell Trail, that went from Belle Isle all the way up across the UP to Ironwood. Here's me starting on Belle Isle and hiked right up to the city of Detroit, 924 miles, and I was thrilled to be the first to do it. The trail that is called the Iron Bell now is pretty different from what I hiked. They split it now, I think, into a foot traffic only path and a multi-use path, but I was thrilled to be the first to do it. That's me finishing in Ironwood. After that, I hiked 250 miles of the Great Lake to Lake Trail. I was basically hired, I was paid by the Michigan Trails and Greenways Alliance to hike this trail that went from South Haven across the lower peninsula to Port Huron. And it was fun, it was exciting, and they gave me a check, paid to hike. That's what I was after. It wasn't a lot of money, but I was paid to hike. There's me starting in Lake Michigan and finishing in Lake Huron. After that, I set my eyes on the mighty Continental Divide Trail, 3,100 miles from Mexico up to Canada. Super difficult trail. There's me starting in Mexico, below the statue of Pancho Villa in Puerto Palomas, Mexico, with my buddy, and finishing in Canada 7 months later.
Oh, God.
Having hiked those 3 trails is the Triple Crown of long distance hiking. And so that was an important moment in my life, was finishing the Triple Crown and getting my picture with the obligatory paper Burger King hat signifying the Triple Crown. Then I decided to go southbound on the Appalachian Trail. This is 2015. Hiked through there with relatively little prep. It took me forever, but I just had to get back out there. At the end of that one, I tacked on the Ben Mackay Trail. They have the same southern terminus. They both end at Springer Mountain. So after finishing the AT in January, I went back up north into North Carolina. And here's a map on the Ben Mackay Trail. It's cool. It crosses the Appalachian Trail in certain points. It goes through the Smokies in a little bit different path. But it was late in the year, and it was super cold, and it was difficult hiking. And I finally finished in North Carolina, flat broke, and my gear falling apart, and I got a ride home from there. Then I went to do the Israel National Trail, which I'd heard about some years before. Here's a satellite photo, so you can see the whole southern third, almost half, is super difficult desert hiking. It's the Negev Desert. And it goes up into Jerusalem and up into Tel Aviv, and it finishes at the border with Lebanon at Mount Hermon. And it was an amazing hike. I met people from all over the world there. It's a wonderfully blazed and well-maintained trail. Tons of young people doing the trail right after their obligatory military service. And I just met people from all over the world there. It was a very, very positive experience. Good beer too. I finished at Mount Hermon, and I still had a couple weeks left, so I decided to hike the Golan Heights Trail, which by this slide looks like a super dangerous place. But there is a trail that goes through there, and it's beautiful, and there's super nice people all along the way. Clearly that part of the world is war-torn, but I mean, it's beautiful. That's the Sea of Galilee. Just beautiful sights the whole way along. But clearly wars fought there recently. There's minefields everywhere. There's burnt out tanks up and down. It's kind of crazy, but there's me finishing, and then made my way back to Tel Aviv and came home. After that, I decided to hike the Baja Divide Trail in Mexico. So from San Diego, I hiked the deserts of the Baja California Peninsula all the way down to Cabo San Lucas distance. I mean, at some point or another, I had 75 pounds of water strapped to that cart, and I pushed it through the sand. And it was ridiculous. I'll never do that again. But I did finish in Cabo San Lucas, and to my knowledge, I am the first. It's a mountain bike trail. I'm the first to do it on foot. Then I tried to hike the Bruce Trail, which I heard about here at Solar Club. I don't know which one of you guys told me about it, Oh, there's this cool trail up in Canada, he says. It's called the Bruce Trail. It goes up west of Toronto and up into the Georgian Bay and the Bruce Peninsula. So I tried to go out there in November, and it was insanely difficult, and I quit. So at this point, I'm 15-1 as a thru hiker. I did not finish the Bruce Trail. I failed the plan, so I planned to fail. I didn't have the finances. I didn't have the right gear. It was very difficult to find camping along there. I'll talk more about why I failed on this trail when we get to the planning part. After that, I went to Ecuador to hike the Trans-Ecuador Mountain Bike Trail, 858 miles of the whole country of Ecuador. It starts in Tulcan, which is near the border with Colombia, and goes through the whole country down to Vilcabamba at the border with Peru. Really beautiful trail, great country, and the unit of currency down there is the US dollar. You don't even have to change over currency. After that, I decided to do the North Country Trail as it runs through the state of Michigan. I started at the border with Ohio and hiked again all the way up the state and across the UP to Ironwood, sponsored by Moose Jaw and Cold Iron Brewing. After that, my friend and I, Jackie, decided to hike the Appalachian Trail. So this would be my third time through and her first time. She quit a little after the halfway point because she got Lyme disease. And I'll talk more about that when I talk about the risks of long distance hiking. But only by the grace of God, I was able to finish. So I have 3 through hikes to the AT under my belt. The hike that I'm doing coming up, I think you mentioned AT, but it's actually the Arizona Trail. Is what I'm going to try and do this spring. And I'll show a map of that trail and talk about how I'm planning for it and how I'm getting ready. But in the meantime, let's talk gear. So, don't be this guy. That's ridiculous trying to carry all that. New Hampshire, that's how they get the stuff up there. But, you know, clearly wrong clothing, cotton clothing, crazy sort of a backpack with all kinds of stuff strapped to it. And you'll see people, you're going to see people like this out on the AT. People who, you know, visited a forum one time or saw a website and said, I'm going to go through the AT with really little planning. And it's fun to see them out there, and it's tough not to be a little judgmental. I'm going to carry my Osprey pack. This is the pack that I've used for, again, this was new for the Michigan hike, for the 1,200 mile North Country Trails that runs through Michigan. And then I also used it for this last hike through the Appalachian Trail. So it's already got like 3,400 miles on it. It's got a little surgery here and there, but it's mostly in good shape. And this is what I'm going to try and take to Arizona.
What is that? What size?
This is a 60-liter Osprey pack. So backpacks they talk about in terms of interior volume, 40, 50, 60 liter. And I think backpacks are a lot like your home. If you have a giant home, you'll fill it full of stuff, you know, eventually. If you have a big giant backpack, you'll carry probably more stuff than you need. So you don't want to go too big, but you don't want to just carry a 40-liter pack and then overfill it and then end up breaking the pack or tearing a shoulder strap because there wasn't enough room. So for me, between 50 and 60 liters does it. Wintertime hiking, I need more space. Summertime, I need less. Leslie, what pack are you carrying?
I got the ULA circuit.
Nice, super popular pack. I saw those a ton as far back as 2012.
Mine doesn't have anything in it right now, so it looks a little smaller, but
Right.
yeah. Nice thing is they come in 9 different colors, but there's only one color choice for me. And yeah, you can get different waist belts on it and different shoulder straps, whatever you want. So if I gain or lose weight, I can actually well, probably won't gain weight on this trip, but you can change out the waist belts on them. So yeah.
What kind of pack is that?
This is a ULA. It's a circuit. So
Yeah, ULA is ultralight. I can't remember what this stands
something.
for.
You have to order them online. They do not sell these at REI. So ULA is the company you have to, yeah.
I would call that a boutique company. So you
Yep.
know, Osprey is huge. They make
Yep.
tons of packs. Smaller like Gossamer Gear, ULA
Yep.
are boutique companies. So you can customize the equipment a lot more,
Yep.
but you might have to wait a lot longer for it. I bet the lead time on that was,
It was actually like, no, I've had it a little
Really?
bit. It's like probably 2 weeks or less.
wow.
Yeah, they have these pretty well stocked.
This time of year when everyone's gearing up for
Yeah.
Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest
Yeah,
Trail.
I've had this for a couple of years now though, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have really, what I like about them is they have really big pockets to the side too. So,
Right.
then I added a couple accessories, but, yeah.
Nice. Again, you'll see everything out there for people who, you know, Heather Anderson's pack. It looks like a book bag. You know, I think her base pack weight, which we talk about, you know, the weight of your pack minus food and water, for me usually is between 18 and 20 pounds. For some people, it's between 8 and 10 pounds. That's all the gear that they have. And being ultralight has everything to do with how much, you know, how uncomfortable can you tolerate? You know, how much discomfort can you tolerate, I should say. You know, if you can get away with just using a poncho guide out as a tent at night, and you get wet and bitten by bugs and all that stuff, you can save a ton of weight. Me, I like to have a little more substantial tent around me, so I pay for it with weight. Again, I'm not ultralight. I aspire to be, but it's a moving target. This is the pack that I carry right now. I've carried Osprey before. I've carried, I think, 6 or 7 different brands. I've carried Kelty. I have an orange Kelty over there. It's got thousands of miles on it. I had a backpack made for me one time by a company called Honor Point. They made a pack just to my specifications for the Continental Divide Trail. That was exciting. I carried a Gregory before. My friend Jackie carrying Hyperlight mountain gear. Really nice, boutique, but expensive stuff. So that pack and her tent are made of DCF, Dyneema Composite Fabric. They used to call it Cuban fiber. And it's waterproof, kind of like a siliconized nylon, but really tough and waterproof. And her backpack, you know, I think it's like $700 or $800. It's really expensive stuff.
Oh my God.
It's
Oh.
pretty solid. Yep.
Oh.
She bought it as a package. The backpack and the tent was actually called like the Appalachian Trail package because she was dead set on hiking this trail.
How much did her pack weigh?
Her base pack weight, I think was about the same, maybe 18, 20, 22 pounds around there. But it shouldn't be because she's a lot smaller, so she shouldn't have that
And
much.
how much is the backpack?
Oh,
Like
a
few
couple,
pounds.
couple 3 pounds. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, it's all about weight out there. I can't say it enough that ounces are pounds and pounds are pain. You know, and more importantly, light is fast and fast is fun. Long distance hiking, ultralight hiking is all about knowing what not to bring. You know, when I started that first trail in 2011, my pack was huge. I had so much stuff with me that I thought I needed. And then when I got to the first town that had a post office, I mailed home 12 pounds worth of stuff. Stuff I thought I needed, but you don't. To talk about tents for a minute, so a lot of times we'll see for tents, tension tents they call them, or basically ones that you use your trekking poles as the poles for the tent. And you guy those out, and the tension between the guy lines and your trekking poles is what holds it up. Super cool because you can save a lot of weight if you don't have to carry tent poles. Disadvantages too, like this tent, if the rain fly's not on it, I can just pick it up and move it. You know, if I discover that I set my tent up over a anthill or a yellow jacket mound or whatever, I can just move it. I can also set it up and just have the tent without the rain fly over the top, which if you're sure it's not gonna rain that night is a really nice feature. A lot of the tension tents are single wall and you can't stare at the sky, no matter how you do it. Leslie, what tent are you bringing?
All right, so I got the tension tent, there we go. I
There we
got
go.
the Z-Packs duplex, so it's a 2-man tent, but my advantage is it weighs 1 pound 3 ounces.
Nice.
So 2-man tent, so I have plenty of room, especially because it's like 7 feet long and I'm like 5'3", so.
1 pound 3 ounces for a 2-man tent, which
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll appreciate because you'll be able to bring your pack in there, all your
Absolutely.
gear, and keep it all
Yeah.
dry.
So that's a weight, but if you add the sack in and the stakes and everything, I've actually weighed it out at
Mhm.
1 pound 6 ounces.
Yeah, you
So-
have to read the fine print. It'll
Yep.
say this tent only weighs this amount,
Yeah,
but then you'll
yeah.
find out it
But
actually
if you
weighs
add the
more.
stakes in, yeah, so I've weighed this with my ShamWow as well to wipe it out for condensation, because you will
Nice.
get some condensation, but
It will.
yeah, 1/6, so that's what I'm taking.
Z-Packs, another boutique company, but
Yep.
wildly popular. on
And
the trails.
wildly expensive.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes it is. What material is it? Is it?
Oh, it's a Cuban fiber. It's
Yeah,
Dyneema,
Cuban fiber.
yeah.
So that Dyneema composite
Yeah,
fabric
so
is
it's the
really,
same thing.
really
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Here's my tent with the rainfly pullback. This is how I use it the majority of nights, at least on this last hike. I would pull the rainfly back and get all set up, but you know, have the rainfly ready to go. So if you wake up in the middle of the night and you start feeling a couple drips, you can just jump out and stake down the rainfly and be good to go. For the longest time, I carried Big Agnes Fly Creek. I went through 4, 5 of those tents, and they were great. They were bulletproof, they were indestructible. I really used them all. Sierra design. I had a Marmot that I still have that I carry quite a bit. But the past few years, I've been carrying Underground Quilts. That is a company from Jackson, Michigan, and they make quilts actually intended for hammock hiking or hammock camping. But they're super light, and they function like a sleeping bag, but they don't have a zipper.